So now we're working on 2.2 Part B. We're going to look at working with different representations of data. So some data can be represented using either vertical bar graphs or horizontal bar graphs, just like I had shown you, as well as we can make them on a broken line graph. So each type of graph has its advantages for displaying certain kinds of data. Some are easier to look at than others, and it just depends on the type of data you're looking at to what works great. Okay, so when we look here, we have the population of Moose Jaw in years and the populations in thousands. So this is the separate 1980, 1985. So if we're going to do a vertical bar graph, that's what we're going to put on the very bottom. Wow, that's not very good. That's, ooh. We're going to put the vertical bar graph, we're going to put the year on the bottom and the populations up the side. But if we're going to do a horizontal bar graph, we're going to put the years up the y-axis as well as the populations across the x-axis. So let's take a look at how we could do that. So basically, horizontal populations along the side, years up here, vertical populations up here, years across this way. Now, when I look at these, um, it went up by tens, so that means every block is 5,000 people. Okay, so when we go and take our numbers like 33.5 in 1980, notice this is 30, this is 35. So 33.5 in 1980 is about 3/5 of the way there, a little greater than 3/5 of the way off that block. So 30 and then 3/5 more will give me 33. Okay. Now, it's nice to look at populations and years. When I look at this, this is going from 1980 to present. To me, I like to see the vertical bar graph here because it's going from 1980 to 2005. And when we read left to right, and so we're reading from earliest to oldest, and it's nice to see. It's really easy to see which one is the tallest. Whereas on the side, yeah, we can see the tallest, but it's not necessarily the easiest to read. Um, or maybe we're just not used to reading horizontal bar graphs as well. Which graph is a better representation? Well, we just talked about it. What's the population trend in Moose Jaw? So if we look, it looks like from 1980 to 2000, it's going slightly down, but it's staying pretty constant. It's a slight decline. Okay. Now, let's draw a broken line graph of this. It's the same as this. Remember, we always put years or time on the bottom, population up the side. And so this, if you notice, 33.5, 39, these are the same dots. We'd actually have to go through. These are the same dots. I could draw the line graph right on the top here if I wanted the broken line graph. And it would look pretty much the same as a bar graph, but just with the lines. Sorry, I don't have a very nice straight ruler, but that's exactly what this thing is if I did dotted lines, right? So, is the vertical bar graph or the broken line graph a better representation of the data? Well, if we look here, I'm just going to undo my dots there. This is nice to see. We can see it. This really is actually easier to see the slight decline, right? Both the broken line graph and vertical bar graphs are good representations. But it's nice to look at the declining data here off of the broken line graph. Draw a vertical bar graph using the same scales and starting points on the axis. Is it similarly misleading? Why or why not? Draw a broken line graph so the data is misleading. Okay, so we got to do E and F. So look here, we break it off and we only start at 31,000. So we are changing this whole scale. So we're not starting at 0, right? It looks like Moose Jaw drastically dropped in their population in both of the bar graphs and the line graphs if you change the scale. So when the questions ask you to mislead or try and change the data, usually you're trying to change the scale on the side. So lots of times like here, we're going from 0 all the way up, so it looks like it's not that big of a deal. But when you go from just 30,000 and up, or break it off, it's a little bit misleading. The bar graph doesn't seem as misleading as the broken line because the difference appears to be absorbed in the width of the graph, whereas this is like really sharp lines. Okay, so try and see if you can't use your ability to draw vertical line graphs or vertical bar graphs, horizontal bar graphs, as well as broken line graphs. Okay, good luck. Please finish your build your skills section.